Section 16C. Informed Decision-Making. 16.15. Learning is Power. Effective airmanship requires good decision-making. From airman basic to general, the decisions each of us make every day impact the delivery of air power. The habits of mind necessary for becoming a critical thinker are developed over time. Each of us must work every day to make good decisions by consciously applying the intellectual analysis necessary to account for complexities. The process of decision-making is as important as the information analyzed. The habitual application of critical thinking methods to the gathering and analysis of information helps reduce our unconscious and natural tendency to accept an available option as satisfactory without actually exploring all feasible options before making a decision. 16.16. Performance Improvement. Improving performance requires both planning and execution. For organizational change to be effective, planning and execution generally must include redesign or coordination on the following 5 interrelated fronts. Organization and people. Human resources are the key to future viability and organizational growth in a continuous learning environment. Although processes and other front factors may change, focus should remain on providing workers with appropriate knowledge, skills, experiences, and tools. Technology. Technology is a crucial enabling factor that allows compression of cycles, lead time, distance, and broader access to information and knowledge assets. Technology also eliminates barriers between customers and suppliers. Policies, legislation, and regulations. Changing existing policies, regulations, and legislation may be required for new processes. Physical infrastructure. Physical facilities, equipment, and tools should be designed to support and maximize changes in workflow, information technology, and human resources. Process. The flow of work and information into and throughout the organization, as mentioned in organizational management practices, must be redesigned using standard continuous process improvement methodologies. 16.17. DOTMLPF. The acronym DOTMLPF stands for Doctrine, Organization, Training, Material, Leadership and Education, Personnel, and Facilities. The acronym is used by the Department of Defense to describe a thought process that considers a broad spectrum of elements or requirements to generate informed, conclusive solutions to problems, future requirements, strategic direction, and performance improvement. DOTMLPF is defined as a process that considers solutions involving any combination of these elements. DOTMLPF serves as a valuable mnemonic for staff planners to consider for certain issues prior to undertaking new efforts. Because combatant commanders define requirements in consultation with the Office of the Secretary of Defense, they are able to consider gaps in the context of strategic direction for the U.S. Armed Forces and influence the direction of requirements earlier in the acquisition process. Here is an example of how DOTMLPF would be interpreted in the military context. Doctrine, the way we fight, emphasizing maneuver warfare, combined air-ground campaigns. Organization, how we organize the fight, divisions, air wings, task forces. Training, how we prepare to fight tactically, basic military training, advanced individual training, unit training, joint exercises. Material, all the stuff necessary to equip the forces, weapons, spares, so we can operate effectively. Leadership and education, how we prepare leaders to lead the fight from squad leaders to 4 stars, professional development. Personnel, availability of qualified people for peacetime, wartime, and various contingency operations. Facilities, real property, installations, and industrial facilities, government-owned ammunition production facilities that support the forces. 16.18. Decision-making model. There are a wide range of decision-making models available for leaders, whether in the military or corporate structure. One decision-making model that has been adopted by the military is the Vroom-Yatton-Jago decision-making model, used for deciding how to decide. According to this model, there are 5 primary levels of decision-making, each requiring a different level of involvement or complexity for the decision-making process. The following is a brief description of each of the 5 levels of decision-making and some pros and cons associated with each level. Level 1. Decide and announce. In this level, leaders make the decision and announce or present it to the group or organization. This approach can allow leaders to make and implement decisions quickly, but to avoid possible indifference or lack of motivation. In this approach, the leader controls the decision and the situation. Leaders should explain rationale as to why the decision was made unilaterally. Cons associated with this approach are that leaders may not take the time to consider all the necessary information. By not including others in the decision-making process, leaders may alienate members of the group or organization unnecessarily. Level 2. Gather input from individuals and decide. In this level, leaders gather input from selected individuals or the group individually and then make the decision. This approach can allow leaders to consult with recognized experts to gather additional information to make a more informed decision, but does not require a meeting with the entire group. Cons associated with this approach are that others in the group may wonder why the leader did not consult with them. They may perceive the leader as playing favorites, which could result in some resistance from the group or organization when it comes time to implement the decision. Level 3. Gather input from the group and decide. In this level, leaders gather input from the group and then make a decision. This approach of including the group and gathering the data enhances the chance for synergy and better informed decision-making. Cons associated with this approach are that if a leader makes a decision different from what the group suggests, the group may feel that their inputs or suggestions were not valued or appreciated. The group may feel that the decision-making process was predetermined by the leader and that the interaction was a facade, which will likely result in members of the group undermining implementation or being unwilling to participate in future decisions. Also, this approach does take more time for the leader to make the decision. Level 4. Facilitate consensus. In this level, leaders present issues or problems to the group and facilitate the decision-making process within the group. If the group is unable to reach consensus, the leader has the option to make the decision. This approach of allowing the group to generate possible decision options enhances buy-in and ownership of members of the group, educates members of the group, and allows for quicker implementation as more people are knowledgeable about the decision process and what needs to be done. This approach helps build and sustain trust and respect between group members. Cons associated with this approach are that it takes more time. Also, there is the possibility that the decision could be one that is adequate but not optimal due to the nature of groups arriving at a compromise to reach an agreement and the leader needing to accept the decision or facilitate further decision analysis. Level 5. Delegate with constraints. In this level, leaders delegate the problem to the group and authorize the group to make the decision within specified boundaries. Leaders do not abandon the group, but facilitate support and resources to enable the group's success in making a decision. This approach is good for building team leadership skills and allows ownership of the decision by the group. It also frees the leader to focus on other issues. Cons associated with this approach are that it takes more time. It may lead to a decision not viewed by the leader as optimal, and the team may not have the skills to reach a quality decision, resulting in disharmony among the group rather than pride and ownership over the decision.